Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8 and Third Reich events installed. Okay, we're continuing from where we left off in the last episode. I was just looking at the clock. We were running long, and I wanted to be able to talk about these various events that we have. We've recently taken Kiev. This is one of the... Really wish they would cut about a half an inch off of this. Maybe I'll just go in and do that. This is one of the... events that may not be new to too many of you, but it's a fairly recent TRE event that I did. Yeah, Kiev. So shortly after taking a few of these cities like Kiev, I found some online photo albums from the soldiers had taken. German soldiers had taken during the advance into Russia. I really wish we could see. There's a bridge over there, which I think is maybe this bridge here, and two shots of this bunker here. That's a German soldier down in there. Maybe one of these guys walked down in there. That's like an anti-aircraft gun in a pit, as you can see, but maybe set it to be either an anti-aircraft gun or anti-tank gun, part of the defenses of Kiev. These basically from this series of events that you get a short time after taking the city are all from a particular same photo album, as opposed to a large collection of random photos of it. So these, you can see a little bit of what the soldiers found and saw. So the Soviets lose some dissent. Or no, we lose dissent, they gain dissent. Because we're now winning in the battle a little bit more. Because here, lose national unity, which we won't. Okay, here's street scene in Kiev, one of the major buildings. Don't know, does it say? Oh, view of the square of Stalin. In the background, there is the building of the People's Commissars. Yeah, I wrote all this, taking from the descriptions in the photos. Not that I'm some expert on the Ukraine, but it's been a while, so I don't remember all the details. In front of the visible part of the building of the Kiev State Museum of Ukrainian Art, the building on the left, which would be over here, is the public library of Kiev at the time. So great. So I guess that's it. Or I thought there was maybe more, but maybe the version I'm using had to fix a couple of things and not... don't know. Okay. Again, I disliked it. Corpse Führer Adolf Julian dies. He is, I think, the only one with the title Corpse Führer. He was in charge of the NSKK, as you're sort of seeing there. Short guy. Let's see. Dies after an illness, and this is an illness of some sort. And boy, I wish I could pull these things down. So you can see it's a nice picture of him. He was the guy basically founded in charge of the NSKK up until his death. Compared to some of the Nazis, doesn't seem that odious of a person. He very well may have been, just don't know. You can see a picture. There's a picture from his funeral with the flag, the NSKK flag over his coffin. NSKK man. That would be an NSDAP, SA type, I believe, there. And then the Army is pallbearers in sort of reversed orders or something there, or similar orders there. Yeah, similar. So you can see pallbearers at his funeral, because he was also obviously from the ribbons, a veteran of World War I. So how sad? Well, I don't know, but he dies of illness, so we lose him at this time. Okay, this what I found was interesting, and again, you can't see it so well here. Merkblatt. Instruction booklet for soldiers and staff personnel of the Air Force traveling, and this is sort of taking this and it's a blue covered book. Traveling from the Reich to Norway, or from Norway to the Reich. Um, this is basically one of the sort of booklets that was created, and I find these things fascinating. The U.S. created a bunch of similar or booklets like these for, how to, invading France, how to be an occupation soldier of France. And obviously, the U.S. was liberating France, but still how to behave with French citizens and behave in, what to expect from them. Well, this was a similar sort of thing for the Luftwaffe for personnel being stationed up in Norway. So sort of interesting. Scrap iron. You can see that poster. And this is a TRE event similar to some of the stuff that major scrap drives that Black Ice has, but the small one that just shows the poster. And again, unfortunately, I can't show this off nicely. I wish I could. It's done by the symbol from the DAF, the Deutsches Arbeitersfront group. So German, a little more metal, obviously not really necessary, but just sort of show the women in the Luftschutz. The Luftschutz is the flak element of, you can see a little better that up there is just this enlarged. I know I forget right now whether we've had them or not, but there are a bunch of other events by either Black Ice or other submods dealing with women being brought more and more into the military. We've had some with the RAD, as well as there's some dealing with women coming in to help with the administrative systems of the Luftwaffe, doing things like running switchboards for phone systems and similar sort of thing. Well, this is a little bit more of an active participation. They were helping with the flak guns. Don't know if they were actually firing the flak guns or just passing ammunition or doing other sorts of work, but generally speaking, they were operated fairly local, to my understanding, meaning they didn't join this, at least primarily, and maybe obviously things changed at the end when everything was collapsing, but you didn't necessarily join it in Munich or something and, oh, well, we need more personnel in Berlin, so let's just shove you up to Berlin. No, it was generally you joined and you served in your local region. A lot of the flak units needed, because they were pushing more and more. We just had the event dealing with the anti-aircraft guns going to the front. Well, there was a lot of various Luftwaffe divisions created that a lot of the manpower came from anti-aircraft guns and other sort of home front elements of the Luftwaffe. Well, this was to help replace a lot of the manpower. Now, an anti-aircraft gun sitting and protecting a factory doesn't need to be manned all the time. Doesn't even need to be manned or personed or whatever, but we'll use the traditional manned all the time, because rarely do planes come over and bomb your particular city. Now, and most of the time, with the good radar systems and whatever, you have a bit of a warning of when the aircraft are coming in, because now you might not know exactly what, you sort of get paths, general directions, and as they're coming towards one city and then the group banks and heads another direction, they could stand down units, bring up units, or whatever. And whether day or night, you often have some sort of warning. So a lot of these personnel can have day jobs, if you will, working in factories, working in other things, and do drills, whether on the weekends or just other designated days, to train up to be good flak crew members. And when the incoming possibilities, because if you don't need to alert all the air defense systems in southern Germany if the American or British bomber groups are heading to northern Germany, kind of thing. You may still stand up certain regions, and then once you realize they're not coming into your local, you can stand them down and they can go back to their daily work. So this is getting women into the front lines of the air war. And as you can see from the picture, she's wearing a helmet, she's wearing overall type, and that's what that is an overall thing, a gas mask. And although that's a darker blue, this is sort of a rather nice, and I don't know whether they were private purchase. This is the from the Reich Luftschutzbund. There were sort of different organizations set up for the, or groups that were brought into this, whether this is just a personal purchase, because I've seen very basic printed, not embroidered like this by professionals, just printed armbands sort of like that, or whether this is a ranking system or not. But and some of these were a little bit more party loyalty type groups versus just local groups that were supplying some of the personnel. So these are mostly part-time type personnel that were, would be full-time on the guns once they're needed. And one of the sort of badges, these were often put on ties. A badge that was on like a tie class for a more formal uniform was obviously anti-aircraft gun pointing at or anti-aircraft sight pointing at an aircraft. So that more and more of these people were put into jobs. Obviously, they Hitler Youth, particularly older boys early on, were more and more helping out with this. A lot of these other extraneous groups that you might actually need more people because the women and the boys aren't as strong to carry as many shells as rapidly for the 88 millimeter anti-aircraft guns. So you may need more people, but you're freeing up frontline combat people for the ground war to supply for this. So basically I just did this as a manpower gain event. There are, is it still, I forget. Yes. Now we haven't Op Fall Blue, which is that here. Operation Fall Blue, yes, is one of the things that we could decide to do. Allows construction of the Luftwaffe infantry. Well, at least in earlier versions of Black Ice, and I don't know about this one, doing some of these infantry units, or Luftwaffe units, lowered the organization level of the Luftwaffe because, I presume, primarily shifting of the manpower. Either some events like this should be done that raises the organization to counterbalance that, or whether the other events shouldn't really lower organizational levels, because I don't know how much they were moving, servicing ground crew or supply staff to the front lines versus just security personnel and extraneous personnel. So this just simply gains your manpower. You can just let the women, there's no reason not to take this. Some events having women coming into the factories, like these up here, let women work in the industry. It creates additional dissent. I don't think having women coming into the combat in these home front combat roles would create dissent, because I think a lot of the women were truly volunteers and truly wanted to feel like they're doing their part in the war, and I actually would almost reduce dissent. But so yeah, so 60 manpower gain, so that's nice. Okay, reform Romanian mountain brigades. Okay, okay, I guess this is good. We don't really have a choice on this. Coal rationing. Well, we have more than enough coal, so we'll do this. We'll lose 1 in dissent, which will help that. Scrap metal drive. We don't need metal, so not right now. Okay. So this is the northern security element here. Yeah, okay. And this is, I believe, from GGA, German Graphical Augmentations, I believe. So, part of the occupation elements in the north. This is Sud, so this is the south. Okay, also boy. I think there's 2 rad battalion stuff here. Very nice events, pictures. Either these is Alexi's units, but I think this is GGA. I think this is GGA. Revolver held. Units of the RAD served on all fronts during World War II, from Norway to the Mediterranean Sea, from France in the west to far reaches of Russia, Albania and Greece, yes. Any of the RAD units which were encircled and forced frontline combat, while other units were drafted directly into the military service on the spot. Okay, secure our front line. So this is just a manpower and suppression event. Obviously, I've had some rad events as we've seen. Come on, get over here. Instead of just giving manpower, which this is not a bad way to do it, it's just a different way. You can see here I've obviously created a bunch of militia units, meaning the rad, as we've talked about before, young men, older boys. Obviously, once you're getting to the 16-year-olds into the frontline service units, basically you're skipping the rad, but it was sort of the 16, 17-year-olds doing a somewhere like year to like 18 months of labor service. They had previously been giving basic firearms training and some basic sort of military discipline and basic combat type stuff in Hitler Youth. Traditionally, I don't know how much during the war because of how much they were pushed just into immediate labor operations versus training, but they did also in the RAD did military type training, so I thought militia is sort of a good state. And these units here that, well actually this is organization totem I clicked on, didn't I? Yeah. But we also have some RAD stuff too. So this is the manpower gain similar to some of the other ones we've had. Okay, RAD battalion. Throughout World War II, the RAD continued to serve organization, establish duty, service. And, oh, is this going to be gain manpower? Oh, we also get some RAD Barbarossa. You know, supply throughput. So, okay. We will do that. Reorganize the Reich Forschungsrats. This is not a TRE event. Lose some supplies, advanced education. Don't know, it's missing its text. Exactly what this is, obviously missing a photo. Okay, yeah, we'll pay the supplies. We're really low, but that's just because, as you can see, traded away some, but then convoyed out, which will probably be sent back into the network, and then returning stockpile stuff out, and so it's, you know, let's click on it. Well, we're going to decide to increase that. We're producing more than we need, but I think we need a bigger surplus just to deal with the ongoing problems with the supply system that we're facing. So, okay, we'll do that. We'll get a bonus with the various techs. Expand air bases. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, reform Romanian mountain brigades. Uh-oh. I'm going to save this right here. What I'm hoping that this just did here, let's that's because they're in combat. Didn't we just hit yes on this? Either I missed the, not hit the right button, or rad, free rolling, flak, armada. Okay, not quite sure. Which meant it looks like Italian, but why it's not in the order of battle, don't know. Okay, well, may have just not set the flag right. Okay, well. Okay, this is, do we have this twice now? Corporate mute. Oh well. There. And there, yeah, twice. So, okay, I saved it, so we're going to take this off. What it may have done here is it was supposed to set a flag, and it, because I let the clock roll, it fired again. I don't know whether I should delete one of these. Probably I should, because it'd be cheating to have both of them. Okay, well, I'll think about that for a minute. Just see how bad of a state we are, but I really don't want to cheat. Yes, I'm going to have to shift all those new Italian and Romanian and other forces up to the front, including the Blue Division. But I want to deal with this here. Okay, I'm sort of looking at the clock. I think I'm going to break this episode here and probably be back with another short episode attached to this, but done at another sitting after I take a little bit deeper look into just see what's happened on a couple of cases. So, like I say, I'm probably going to attach this to another short episode. So, thanks so much. We will continue. All right, I'm back from checking out that one event, or there's actually two events that were it was one event that was duplicated twice, so it fired twice. So I have clicked the delete button. I've got a bunch of the flak units, just a heavy flak unit and truck transport, and I'm going to see about getting them up to the front and attaching them to whether to Corps headquarters or just, well, that's obviously an overly full division, but somewhere where we can still do the best good. So we're getting those moved forward, and some other maintenance work, you know, things like putting the police general in charge of the police corps here, and I split them up a little bit to spread out just a little bit their partisan reduction out there. So got all that going. So we're going to continue forward, driving into the Soviet heartland. Okay, that's good. Black Sea, fine. They're counterattacking, ooh, in Finland here. Schroner. Okay, well, that's probably going to be a bit too much. Okay. No. Oh. Let's hope that this is the safest way to retreat. Okay, there. We've won that battle. We're winning there. Good. Oh, finally, we're charging into there. Okay. They're hitting our guy. He's reinforcing there. Move him up there. Okay, now he is now outside of that swamp. We're going to attack him. We're counterattacking my HQ down here. We're having a little bit of supply difficulty there. I think he's going to lose organization there. No, we've already lost that. Okay, well, he's almost up. Okay, that's where we're at. Just get into there. That's fine. Oh wow. Okay, does anybody think that all of these units here were somehow brought in by sea? Really? Where? No, this is a event spawned. I guess when I took this province, it spawned all these units here. And they're attacking here, so we'll see what we can do. Oh, aren't you there? Yeah. And then here, we'll attack with that unit there. You to support that attack. Oh, good, okay. We're in pretty good shape there. They're not. Okay, that's good down there. No Lend-Lease, no Columbia or whoever that was. Okay, you finally got, well, not much of supplies, but hopefully some. Now if you notice, we just got a, with that upgrade event, we have a skeletal left behind here that's mostly transport divisions, or transport elements. I did delete, like I said, the old, or one of the doubles. Okay, so that looks like it's gonna be victorious now. Yeah, thought this might be one worthy of an advance in there. Now let's see if we can cut that off there. Okay, well, we're gonna have to retreat. These guys just aren't getting up there quick enough. They're moving forward, but not quick enough. Oh, good. We're still on the dawn. Is ours. I might start driving around and sopping up a few more of these. Oh, good. Das Reich can pile them right into them. We can move into there. Starting to feel a little better about this invasion than I had been. And then waiting for supplies. Can they supply them? Yes, just barely. We have another major airport up here that we can, yeah, get those guys up there. I'd forgotten to send supplies into Murmansk early enough so that they're temporarily at least out of supply, though they will be getting some more fairly quickly. Okay. Get across that river there. Where we won the Battle of Kretch. And then Marduk. Sure, that sounds normal to somebody, but not to me. Sounds alien and strange place. Not a criticism, just an observation. If you happen to live there or something. So far, oh, okay, these are all, well, a lot of these units no longer have organization, so let's start sending you up to there, and you're going to drive into the flank there. You guys move forward, move forward. Finally got that pocket dead. These cavalry units going somewhere. And down here, talked a few episodes about, you know, Germany being distracted. Well, I really, really wanted to have this Africa Corps come up through Iran, but with the mud conditions, let's turn on the weather here for a moment. Mud 100%. Precipitation. You know, obviously it's probably not going to snow down here, but so all this mud has just slowed up the campaign even more than I was used to down here. I know of one campaign that mud affected down here. And I know July is winter in this part of the world, but this isn't that cold of a world. And that was sort of in Zambia, I think the mud happened in. But that was just some Land Rovers that got stuck in some mud for a while, and the guys were mostly sort of pushing them. But in Zambia, Rhodesia, well, there is some mud fields out here, but a lot of this is much more deserty. I don't think the mud should be nearly as effective as it is. So what's happened is units that I thought were going to be moving a little more rapidly have gotten bogged down, and this is bad enough that I'm going to stop this attack. So I was really, really hoping to have Rommel come up, or to do a campaign in 41 down here like we did, but by the spring of 42 to have, you know, be able to ship them up here and have them part of this. So we do have some armor that I did prepare, obviously this core here, with some armor in it. Not as much as I wanted to have. You can see the weather, it's still Arctic conditions are frozen here. But because I've been able to use those units to rapidly smash Soviet reinforcements, those type of stuff in some other games. But I think at minimum, there's a lot of good mountain divisions here. I can hold this mountain line. Now I'm going to try to push out past the mountain line. You know, through the hills and maybe a bit more into the plains. And also we have all these deserts that I thought the Africa Corps could work well in. But if they start, whether it's spawned or simply other Soviet armor, the winner, is the way I think I have this thing set up, the normal 1941/42 winter, that winter will be happening 42-43 event with the, you know, the T-34s moved from the east showing up here. So if that starts smashing into me down here, if they use that to protect their southern flank at that point, I'm planning on just retreating my mountain troops as quickly as I can to these and hoping to hold there if that becomes a situation. And unlike the previous campaign, which I had to retreat back out through Bantumi, I'm hoping to not have to do that. But obviously we can retreat into Iran if needed. Okay. Military bases. Okay. Cool. I really like the way Black Ice team has done that. Let's go back over to this. I really like this, and that I don't know how much it was really up there. My impression a bunch of the bases were here, but eventually just the way this works, you got to give them a zone. And by doing this, it does sort of simulate somewhat the extraterritoriality that the U.S. had with its massive amount of bases all over Britain. Obviously, those aren't like some of these other ones. Well, we have... Oh, did they somehow take away Diego Garcia? No. Diego Garcia obviously is a British possession. Still technically a British possession. But as part of this Lend-Lease and such, and as more of a Lend-Lease, the U.S. got it. The British, it's a teeny little island. There was, you know, maybe 100 or 200 people max living there or whatever. Britain moved all those people out and settled them somewhere else in some other island possessions. People sort of want their home back, but, well, not how many generations it's going. It's still the U.S. functional possession, and the U.S. is planning on keeping it. Trust me, they're going to keep that base. Find some way. And where they have more extraterritoriality. Thought there was also some Australian bases, but maybe that's future coming events. But it does get the U.S. involved in bombing campaigns and such, much more so with that. So I approve of that mechanic. And if you want to talking about somewhat the U.S. extraterritoriality in Britain with all of its bases, you might want to check out a series. I don't forget whether it's BBC or one of the other British channels called Foyle's War. Starts with an F. Foyle's War. It's about a police detective. Does sort of show America somewhat in a bad light for some of the stuff, but he's like police detective down in Brighton, so a lot of really good historical drama that gives Britain's home condition during the war, and he's a British detective, too old to be, you know, active service, but dealing with the situation. And they're not just dealing with the Americans, dealing with various situations that are just typical of stuff spread all over Britain, but just obviously happen in his little area. And it starts out early, goes all the way through the war, through the various series, so it's a good one. I highly recommend it. Okay, mechanized HQs have advanced. That is good. Happy to get that. And well, I don't know what more I particularly might want. Well, let's go with SS Panzer. Grenadiers there. HQs. And we should have an event which will do that. Yep, that worked right. Well, that's good. Let's see, go to... Good, we're pushing them out. Yep, we're charging ahead. Wherever we can. Send these. Do some occupation duty. Okay, he's holding out okay there. Don't know how he's getting supplied. No. He's coming along the rear. Okay. Oh, Hermann Goering Brigade. I might change my mind on the... Let's drop him right out here. Before he's organized, let's find a good commander. Now we want that. Now, I normally do most of this off camera because I do believe it would be boring for you to watch me pick a bunch of divisional commanders. I don't know who the Hermann Goering division commander was at this time, or brigade, or whatever, was, but let's look for a suitable candidate here. Someone fairly good, at least a 3. He'd be acceptable, maybe he was, but I'm gonna have I have some other para units coming that I want to give that to him. Okay, no, like I said, I want at least a 3 on this brigade. Okay, could go with him. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at the photos and the uniforms to see Luftwaffe commanders. We'll go with Martini here. Luftwaffe, Supply, Quartermaster, and Trickster. That's a pretty good guy for that. I'm also got to put some air power down. Okay, I think that's going to end this episode here. Thanks for watching. very much. I'm sorry, I'm concentrating a bit. Let's take a quick look at Japan. They're sort of marching troops in and out of. Looks like some are, for some reason, via the arrows, are going back up. Others are coming in. Don't understand why they're doing that, but okay. Oh, we got our invasion going here. Unimposed, that's good. We're going to take that, which should be nice for us and for Japan, in the sense that it denies it to the British, but it does secure us some supplies. So, yeah, you know, I see. Here's what I think is happening here, because it's been several episodes that this guy is like moving in here. I bet you. Well, let's see what. Like I say, I bet you we have mud 100%. So he's trying to move here and just can't. These guys are probably trying to move and just can't. The Japanese raced down this peninsula. They were landed. They had little or no motor transport. They were used bicycles, and the roads were okay. But when they came in the Malaya campaign, the British outnumbered them in Malaya. Outnumbered the Japanese, and a lot of the units, especially the units in the early parts of the fight, I don't know if were veterans, but they were fairly long time units. They weren't just some, you know, unorganized units like we just dropped on the map up over near Leningrad, you know, that had no organization. The people didn't know what, you know, as a unit, didn't know what they were doing. No, they knew what they were doing. They set up some really good blocking positions down the road, and they were mostly the main road was down the I guess it's the west side of the Malaya Peninsula, and they landed here and came down here. And like I said, they set up some really good blocking positions, and, you know, a lot of log barricades and everything, and all set up really well. And the Japanese just sort of went around them through the jungle. And they used the bicycles. They didn't like pedal the bicycles through the jungle. They just something like the Ho Chi Minh Trail, I think, attached their backpacks and their gear with their food and whatever on the bikes, and sort of walked the bikes and carried the bikes through the jungle, and just got around behind these units that were, you know, entrenched with machine gun positions facing sort of north, and got behind them, and they just didn't literally have the food or the supplies to hold out much at all. And so they got to where they were surrounded, and they didn't have the food and ammo to fight it, so they gave up and gave up and gave up, and so they got down here in Singapore, captured up here. Part of either they captured or threatened the British, or just generally the reservoirs, water supply for Singapore Island. And the Japanese were here, and the British outnumbered the Japanese considerably, with some Commonwealth units, which I don't know if there were many Indian units, but I think some, like, Australian, New Zealand units, divisions that were recently brought in here. And if the Japanese held those reservoirs for any time at all, the whole island, including the civil population, would just die of thirst. But the British by this time had just, and I don't know how much it was the soldiers, but definitely the command structure had lost all will to fight. The the Japanese put a lot of emphasis on the will to fight, the will to win, and that was going to get you through. Well, you can have all the will in the world, but if all you got is a rifle and a bunch of guys with rifles, and they're driving over you with Tiger tanks, well, you can stand up to them. They'll just drive right over you, though, instead of you running away. Well, so will is important, but will doesn't win battles alone. You need capabilities. Well, the British had just, at least the command structure, just lost all will to fight. The Japanese sort of had surrounded, and they had all really great defensive artillery positions, but they were sort of done up like this, in that they couldn't turn around at all to fire support inside you know, up the peninsula. It was, you know, great for controlling out here with the sea, but they couldn't. They weren't like the when the Germans mounted naval artillery batteries, you know, with the you know, what are they, you know, 12 or 14-inch guns in their naval gun mounting, you know, the turret that goes on the ship, so that they could swing them all the way around. These, and like some of the disappearing guns that the U.S. used that could swing around to the rear, these were, you know, protected from the air, and they had no ability to fire in there. So that the British just gave up to a smaller force that the Japanese had come over here. They had, like I said, secure the water. Oh, and the Japanese were basically functionally by this time without ammunition, or no functional ammunition to sustain any fight. And because they had come down here and raced down here, there was no real ability for the Japanese to resupply this ammunition. So any effective push against the Japanese would have collapsed the Japanese here, because they, you know, they can, like I say, have all the will in the world. They could all get out their bayonets and do the bayonet charge, and they probably would have. But the by this time, and even with all the captured, you know, they lost a lot of units that were captured to the Japanese. These divisions that were recently brought into Singapore were intact. Had they got out there with their machine guns and their, you know, Enfield rifles with ammunition, they would have just slaughtered the Japanese, as they probably bravely bayonet charged into units, and they would have done that, and then the British would have been able to race all the way back up the Malaya Peninsula and take out all those Japanese units. Now, I don't know how the Japanese were set up, you know, once they won the Philippine campaign. Did they have a lot of free units to move back in to do that? I don't know. And whether that would have bought enough time for the British to refortify Malaya from a more landward side and bring in air power and whatnot to protect it from it, I don't know. But they could have easily turned the whole thing around, because the Japanese were out of ammo. So just an interesting situation there, and it's sort of the will to fight versus... Okay, now you need to get going back there. Go into the swamps, because you're a swamp fighter. Okay, so thanks for viewing. Thanks for liking the videos. Please post your comments. Love to hear from you.